Welcome to Mindfully Integrative Podcast with your host, Dr. Damaris G. Mindfully Integrative is a podcast discussing ways toward mindfully incorporating integrative health into our lives. This podcast will have informative resources, fun topics, interviews, and discussions relatable for today with a true mindful perspective in a mind-body, holistic life approach.
Hey everyone, and welcome back. We're doing a deep dive today on something I think a lot of you will find really interesting. It's all about an integrative approach to weight management, especially for those of you who are already on the GLP1 journey.
Yeah. And what's so cool about this is the source material we're looking at comes from someone who's been there, done that, and they have these incredible insights to share.
It really is fascinating stuff. And I think what caught my eye right away is that they emphasize that it's not just about diet and medication.
Right. It's so much more than that.
It's really about self-love and creating a whole system that works for you.
Yeah. And it's not something you see every day, right? Like a weight management approach that puts self-love front and center.
Exactly. And in fact, they actually start by sharing their own personal story about struggling with negative self-talk. I mean, I think a lot of us can relate to that.
Oh, for sure. That feeling of being your own worst critic.
Yeah, exactly. So how do we get out of that?
Yeah. Well, they actually point out that starting from a place of self-acceptance can really make the whole process more sustainable.
Oh, that makes sense.
It's like building a house. You can't expect stability if you're building on shaky ground.
That's such a good analogy. So then what are some of the specific things that they suggest we can do to kind of cultivate that self-compassion?
One thing that really stands out is the emphasis on positive affirmations. So instead of focusing on, what you want to change about yourself, they encourage you to start by appreciating what you already love.
Oh, I like that.
It's about shifting that inner dialogue to one of kindness and support,
Yeah, instead of constantly beating yourself up.
Exactly. And another thing you talk about is gratitude, keeping a gratitude journal.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Yeah, like even writing down the small things that you're thankful for each day.
It's so easy to forget to do that.
Yeah, it's a way to shift your perspective and really focus on the positive, even when things are tough.
Yeah, that's a great tip. And I've actually noticed in my own life when I take the time to focus on what I'm grateful for, I do feel less stressed and my mood is better overall.
Exactly. And speaking of mood, they also talk about the mind-body connection.
Oh, yeah, that's a big one.
They really emphasize that managing stress is key. And they even suggest specific techniques like deep breathing exercises or meditation or yoga to help calm the nervous system.
Oh, yeah, I love yoga.
Yeah, and it's all about reducing those cortisol levels, which can contribute to weight gain.
It's funny because we often think of weight management as purely physical.
Right.
But there's such a strong emotional component, too.
Absolutely. And they even talk about journaling as a way to kind of explore those emotional connections with food, like tracking not just what you eat, but how you're feeling before, during, and after meals.
So you can kind of pinpoint those emotional triggers.
Yeah, exactly. And by understanding those patterns, you can start to develop those healthier coping mechanisms.
It's like you become a detective of your own habits. So, okay, we've talked about mindset and self-care. But what about the actual food we're putting into our bodies?
Yeah.
They talk about something called functional nutrition, right?
Yes, and this is where it gets really interesting because they go beyond the typical calorie counting and restrictive diets.
That's refreshing.
It's really about nourishing your body with nutrient-dense foods that support optimal health.
So it's more about making choices that make you feel good.
Exactly. They talk about eating a rainbow of colorful fruits and vegetables, lean proteins, healthy fats. Avocados get a special shout out.
Avocados are the best.
It's about giving your body the building blocks it needs to function at its best.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. So it's less about following a rigid meal plan and more about understanding the principles of functional nutrition.
Right.
And then applying them to your own individual needs.
Exactly. It's about creating a way of eating that you can sustain long-term, not just a quick fix.
So we've talked about mindset, self-care, nutrition, but what about the role of GLP-1 meds in all of this? A lot of you listening are probably already familiar with the basics of how they work, mimicking that hormone to regulate blood sugar and appetite. But I'm curious what our source says about optimizing their effectiveness.
One thing they emphasize is the importance of working closely with your doctor to find the right dosage and timing, because it's not a one-size-fits-all situation.
Of course.
And beyond that, they stress that GLP-1 meds are most effective when used as part of a comprehensive approach that includes, all those healthy lifestyle changes we've been talking about.
So it's not about relying on the medication alone.
Right.
but using it as a tool to support your overall journey.
Exactly. And something that really stuck with me is how they talk about the potential side effects.
Oh, yeah.
And they're very upfront about the fact that GLP-1 medications can cause nausea, especially in the beginning. And they offer tips for managing that, like starting with a low dose and gradually increasing it, eating smaller, more frequent meals, staying hydrated.
That's really helpful information. I think it's important to be aware of those potential challenges as well as the benefits.
Absolutely. And they also talk about the importance of listening to your body and communicating with your doctor about any concerns you have.
So it's about taking ownership of your health and being an active participant in your own care.
Exactly. And that brings us to the next piece, which is behavior modification. So this is where we start to look at those like daily habits and choices that can really make or break your success. And our source dives into mindful eating again.
Oh, good.
Not just as like a concept, but as a practice with some actual techniques,
Yeah, that's what I was hoping for. We touched on that earlier, but I want to know, like, how do we actually do this?
Right. So one really practical tip is to like slow down and savor each bite. Like they even recommend putting your fork down between bites.
Oh, wow.
To really be present with the flavors and textures of the food.
That's a good point, because I know I'm definitely guilty of rushing through meals sometimes, especially when I'm, busy.
We all do it. But they also talk about paying attention to your hunger cues, like learning to distinguish between true physical hunger and, emotional eating.
Right. So you're not just eating because you're bored or stressed.
Exactly. It's about tuning in to your body's signals and eating when you're truly hungry. And they even suggest keeping a food journal, not just to track what you're eating, but your hunger level, like before and after meals.
Oh, that's smart.
Yeah, to help you identify those patterns and make more mindful choices.
So it's all about becoming more aware of your habits and triggers so you can actually make those changes.
Absolutely. And speaking of making changes, they're a big fan of setting SMART goals.
Oh, yeah, I love SMART goals.
Specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound.
It's such a good way to break down those like overwhelming goals into smaller steps.
Exactly. And they even give examples of SMART goals specifically for GLP-1 users. Like instead of saying, I want to lose weight, you might say, I want to lose 1 pound per week by consistently following my meal plan and incorporating 30 minutes of exercise 4 times a week.
I like that much better.
Right.
It's so much more specific.
Exactly. And they also emphasize that it's okay to adjust your goals along the way. Like as needed. It's not about being perfect. It's about progress.
Right. Because sometimes we set ourselves up for failure by setting those like unrealistic expectations.
Yeah, exactly. And speaking of support, they also highlight the importance of accountability partners, like having a friend, family member, therapist, online community, somebody to check in with and share your journey with can really make a difference.
It's that sense of community again.
Right.
That's so important.
Yeah. It's amazing how it all ties together.
It really is. And they don't stop there. They even talk about incorporating integrative medicine practices.
Yes. This is where it gets really interesting. They talk about things like herbal supplements, green tea, turmeric.
Oh, yeah. I've heard good things about those.
As being potentially beneficial. And they even touch on practices like yoga and meditation.
Oh, I love those. I find that even just like a few minutes of deep breathing can really help me manage my stress.
Yeah, there's something about those practices that goes beyond the purely physical. And they also mention things like acupuncture, aromatherapy, and chiropractic care.
So it's like you build this personalized toolbox of wellness techniques.
Right.
But what really caught my eye is that they don't just leave you with all this theory. They give you recipes.
Yes, and not just any recipes. These are specifically tailored for GLP-1 users. So they're designed to be both delicious and supportive of your goals.
Okay, I am sold. Give me a sneak peek.
Well, I don't want to spoil the surprise, but let's just say there's this amazing recipe for salmon with roasted vegetables.
Oh my gosh, that sounds so good.
It's flavorful and packed with nutrients.
I'm going to have to check that out. And of course, they also emphasize community support.
Yes, exactly. They talk about the power of shared experiences and, connecting with others who are on a similar path.
That's so important because, whether it's online forums, local support groups, virtual events, there's so many ways to find that sense of community.
And think about the practical benefits, too. You can swap recipes, share tips, celebrate wins, and offer encouragement during those tough times.
It's like having a cheer squad for your health journey.
Right.
So, okay, we've covered a lot today. Everything from self-love and mindset to functional nutrition, GLP-1 meds, behavior modification, integrative medicine recipes, community.
What I find so inspiring is how this approach really reframes weight management as a journey of self-discovery and empowerment.
Totally.
It's not about fitting into a mold. It's about becoming the healthiest and happiest version of you.
And that's a journey worth taking one step at a time.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really is about finding what works for you and creating a lifestyle that you can actually stick with.
And remembering that it's not about being perfect.
Right.
It's about making progress. Yeah, and there will be bumps in the road.
Of course.
But it's about how you respond to those challenges.
And that's where that self-compassion comes in.
Exactly.
Giving yourself a break, recognizing that we're all human, we all make mistakes.
It's about learning from those setbacks and moving forward.
So before we wrap up, I want to leave you all with a question to kind of think about based on everything we've discussed.
Okay, so now that you've had a chance to really explore this integrative approach to weight management alongside GLP-1 medication, what's one small thing you can do today?
Just one small thing.
That's an act of self-love.
Yeah.
To support your own journey.
Like maybe it's taking 5 minutes to just breathe.
Or swapping out that sugary snack for something healthier.
Or even just calling a friend to chat.
Maybe it's just taking a moment to appreciate how far you've come already.
Yeah, because every step counts.
And every act of self-care is a victory.
I love that. And remember, you are capable of achieving those goals.
It's about believing in yourself.
And trusting the process.
Exactly.
This has been such a great conversation.
It really has.
I'm so glad we got to dive into this topic today, and I hope everyone listening feels inspired to embrace this approach.
Me too. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for joining us. And to all our listeners out there, thanks for tuning in to the deep dive. And until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep on diving deep.
Thank you for listening to the Mindfully Integrative Show with Dr. Damaris Maria Grossman, family nurse practitioner. This podcast is for informational and educational purposes only and is not the substitute for professional medical advice, diagnose, or treat. Always consult your healthcare provider before making changes to your healthcare routine. Make sure to subscribe so you don't miss an episode. If you enjoyed our show, please support us by leaving a mindful review on Apple Podcasts or your favorite streaming platform. Interested in being a guest or more information? Email us at info@mindfullyintegrative.com. For resources mentioned in the show, visit our website at www.mindfullyintegrative.com. You can also connect mindfully with Dr. Damaris on her social media links found on the site. May your strength and peace guide you to find a mindful way every day. Namaste.